Has Tucker Carlson's mask slipped? He just interviewed Douglas McGregor, a retired US colonel, about the war in Ukraine. Let's watch the part of the interview where it takes a sinister turn. Pay attention to the subtle but dangerous undertones of his comments.
How would you characterize Zelensky?
He was picked and then blessed by Victoria Nuland and the State Department as their man. Now, when he originally ran for office, he ran on a peace platform. Ukrainians didn't want to go to war with Russia. Of course, once he was in there, he took a different road. And I can't help but think that that road was defined for him by us.
Notice how he doesn't hold Russia or Ukraine responsible for the war, but he actually holds America responsible. Actually, it's not just America, it's a specific group of Americans.
Who is Victoria Nuland?
Oh, goodness gracious. All these hard questions. I do not know Victoria Nuland personally. I know Fred Kagan, and his brother Bob is married to her. And she's a long-term committed neocon.
At this point, it's important to note that everyone he's named is Jewish. He actually goes on to name more Jews, like in this clip.
No, I don't think she understands the gravity of the situation. These are the same people. Tony Blinken is in this.
So after naming all of these people, it's now time to present his completely irrational conspiracy theory.
These are people with this agenda, and the agenda says until the entire world is garrisoned by U.S. forces and is converted forcibly to some form of democracy that we approve of, the world will not be safe, and we must continue to fight. And I think in the case of Russia, Russia has special appeal because I think these people have ancestors who came from that region of the world and have a permanent axe to grind with the Russians, which of course I don't. I don't think most Americans do, and nor do I think anybody in government should shape policy based on whatever unhappiness their ancestors, experienced in a place like Russia.
And the mask is off. He's clearly asserting that Jews control American foreign policy. But it gets even worse. When Tucker asks why Democratic and Republican donors both support the war, he uses this as an opportunity to reinforce this anti-Semitic trope.
Well, first of all, you've got to go through and identify the donors. What's their background? Where did they come from? And why do they feel the way they do? I think there are more personal issues here than we realize with many of them.
To think that this war is being waged because a handful of Ashkenazi Jews have a 100-year-old grudge against Russia is absurd, particularly as Ukraine was just as anti-Semitic back then. Now, to understand how truly incoherent this theory is, listen to how he describes the Ukrainian troops.
Atrocity we call the Azov Regiment that runs around with the swastikas and Nazi gear and so forth.
So he wants you to think that a group of Ashkenazi Jews control America, and they use this control to fund a battalion of Nazis in a country that historically persecuted Jews as an act of vengeance against another country that persecuted Jews?
Sure, Jan.
This interview wasn't accidentally aired. Tucker Carlson intentionally published this anti-Semitic trope to millions of people. This is concerning.